we have grown so close, and we've had fights and we've had ups and downs, but honestly how we've connected together and been there for each other, I've made friends for life.
So before I start my review, I'm going to leave the same disclaimer here as I did on Love Island UK. It seems when I make comments about the people that I'm watching, I hate them. Because I've always said I will never say anything hurtful because I don't know these people on a personal basis enough for me to say anything derogatory or anything demeaning. But if I see something wrong, I will call it out. And so the fact that I said I don't get why these girls are being rewarded for the way they behaved, suddenly I hate black women, according to one of my commenters on Love Island USA. On Love Island UK, I've been told I hate white women because I called out something that I saw. I will always call out what I see as wrong, in my opinion. I will never say anything derogatory about anyone because I do not know these people on a personal basis. And I'm only critiquing what I am watching on TV, not the person as a whole, because I don't know them. Anyway, now my rant is gone. Hey there, thanks for stopping by. It's your girl Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island USA, Season 6, Episode 23. So Movie Night continues, and the next clip shown is, well, the boys win and they choose the clip. So the next clip shown is Gone Girl, and it's Serena, Cordell, and Dea. And they sort of show Serena when she was crying for Cordell when he went to Casa, and then Cordell, and Dea, them making out, and the video when it came back. And so, as I said before, I don't think Cordell dry humping is correct. No. But what I'm saying is, you cannot complain about being disrespected while you're being disrespectful. That doesn't make sense. I can't say you've wronged me while I'm doing something wrong myself. So I get Selena was aggrieved. I even brought this as an example, so I don't know where this hate black women, you hate Serena and Janaea came from. I said this before. I said if you watch Love Island UK and you see how Mimi handled the situation, maybe Serena and Janaea need to take a page out of that. I'm not saying everybody should keep quiet, but I'm saying there's a way of addressing situations. Yes, now calmer heads have prevailed and people are now actually talking. They're not screaming and shouting. But then this will live till eternity. And every time you see it, you will cringe and you can't take it back because reality TV is based on the drama and they will like this and they'll continue to play it and there'll be top one, outbursts from Casamo, Recoupling, and you'll always be there. And how do you justify this yourself? Anyway, off my soapbox. Cordell said he was very embarrassed because looking at it, he heard about it, but looking at it is totally different. And that's the truth, though. Dea tried to sort of reassure Serena and say, you've known about this, you've moved on from this, try not to bring yourself back to where you were. I said, oh, that's the bigger person. And I'm pleasantly surprised that Serena didn't shout or scream. I think now she's at a place of acceptance. Whether she was going through the grief process and she's finally at acceptance and decided that maybe cooler heads will get her what she wants, I don't know. The next one is Forgetting Leah Marshall. The boys won and they called for that. And it's Miguel and Sierra making out in Casa, him asking her to share a bed. And then when he got into bed with her and little Miguel got excited. And the fact that I said this before and I'll say it again, these girls like to deal with little boys because they can bully them or they can get them to say and do whatever they want, or they can sort of manipulate them into sort of doing things that they might otherwise not agree with. Because Miguel was sitting there and he was laughing and he was saying, I've already talked about this, I've already apologized for this, I can't keep apologizing for the same thing. And none of the girls had the audacity to call him out. One or two people said, oh, why are the boys laughing? But no one had the balls to sort of say to him, Miguel, you're wrong for this A, B, C, D, E, F, G, we want you to apologize. Nobody held his feet to the fire because they know he will tell them the truth about themselves. And so because of that, This is why they all kept quiet. Even Leah, who's normally very vocal, was just sitting there smiling. You could tell she was embarrassed by what Miguel did, but she couldn't say anything because then he would turn around and say to her, we were not closed off, we're just coupled up, so make it make sense. And she can't say anything. He's already told her, he's an F-boy. What else can she do? What else can she do? The last clip shown is challenges, and it's Daniela and Aaron. The challenge where they had to kiss passionately, so they went to the shower, they shared a kiss, and then Aaron was talking about let's go take a shower and stuff, and it was uncomfortable. I don't want to say anything the least. It was uncomfortable, and the sad bit about this is Aaron, I think, should have just owned up to his mistake. He should have apologized. I want to apologize to Rob, Daniela, and Kayla for my behavior, because I know this hurts not just me and Kayla, it also affects Rob and Daniela. So I want to apologize for what I did, my part in that, and moved it on. Instead of throwing a fit, how do you offend someone and then you throw a fit? You throw off your mic and you walk off set. So he must have walked off set, and the producers must have negotiated with him to come back. Then he eventually came back, and everybody else is sitting out in the cold, freezing their bottoms, and he is busy throwing a tantrum. And it's like, why is he throwing a tantrum? If you make a mistake, own your crap. Own your crap, because you say this is what you wanted to do. Fine. Be like Miguel then. Sit there and own your crap. What is it? Yes, I understand his anger or agitation with Liv, because Liv at times tends to wear other people's problems and make them her own. She doesn't know when to take the back seat as a friend and just support your friend. She has to be at the forefront with her friend, fighting the battle. And it's like, it's not every situation that you have to do that, because when these two make up, you're going to be public enemy number one, because they're going to say you're the reason why they nearly split up. I said this before, I'll say this again. Liv needs to look at how she is with her friends, how she supports her friends, how she loves her friends, because she's going to love and support her friends out of a relationship. And this is what she's done with Kane, because she focused more on what was going on with Kayla and forgot her own connection. Anyway, he storms off, and then eventually he comes back. He goes to the deck for a chat with Rob, I think, to pacify him, and then came back and sat down, only for them to say movie night is over. I didn't get it. I didn't even understand why he was allowed to do that. If you're going to own something, own it with your full chest and sit your bottom down and take responsibility for what you did. Don't throw a fit and then run away so that people don't ask you. Even the guys, you could tell, were sort of uncomfortable in asking him anything at all, because you had the guys sort of go into their group and they were talking about their clips, and nobody said anything to Miguel. Nobody yelled at Miguel, even though his was a very compromising video. Yes, people said Aaron and Daniela's situation was worse, and even Rob said he feels like he was used. He feels like Daniela tells him the same things she was telling Aaron. And it's like, oh, I actually thought this was something that the three of them came up with. So it might be Daniela and Aaron came up with this so that Daniela could stay on the show. And Rob was just a willing participant because he was listening to his friend. I always thought the three of them, Rob, Daniela, and Aaron, once they had the mess in the villa, they then switched over and made Rob recouple with Daniela. But it seemed he might have been in the dark. You have the girls speaking. Obviously, they're still upset. Kayla's upset. Serena, somehow, something has happened. Something has really happened, and I would like to know what it is, because she's gone from being very agitated to now she's so calm, it's unbelievable. Even the fact that when they were getting ready for bed, she went and she hugged Cordell, and he said, oh, I thought you wanted your space. And it's like, what has changed? What has changed? Because they is still in the villa. You've just watched all the videos of everything they did, and you're not kicking off. And yet without the videos, you were kicking off and screaming. What is it? Is it the edit, or is it something that was said or done that has changed? What is it? I wish they could give us clarity on that. Kayla is her own worst enemy. I said this before, I'll say this again. She should have held Aaron's feet to the fire, and she should not have jumped into bed with him. But because she jumped into bed with him and was quick to sweep everything under the rug, now the mess has come back to haunt her. Nicole had a conversation with Kendall and was sort of saying, you know why the girls are hurt, blah, 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 blah. I have no problem. What do you mean you don't have a problem with him? He is your guy, and he's embarrassing you and him by going about cheering for his friends to cheat. If he can do that for his friends, what will he do for himself? I don't get why you don't have a problem with him. I think you should have had a problem with him. I think you should have talked to him about cheating and how bad that is. And maybe it would be something else. Anyway, all the islanders go to sleep. So Kane, because he and Liv called things off, he slept in soul ties. Aaron, because he's upset and Kayla's upset, he slept outside on the day beds. And it's like, oh my God, this is too dramatic. They need the recoupling now. So in the morning, obviously, everybody's feeling some type of way about movie night and the fallout from movie night. And Kendall has been very smart and he's been able to play these islanders. And I don't get why people don't call out his BS, because he made breakfast. He made breakfast for Nicole, so he's in a couple with Nicole. He made breakfast for Serena and said to apologize for not having a backbone. And it's like, side eye. He did the same for Kayla. That's not good enough. That is not good enough. What does he mean for not having a backbone? What should he have done? What would he do differently next time? And, what was his reason for not telling his friend the truth? There needs to be a conversation before you bring me breakfast. You can't just bring me breakfast and then we say, okay, that's it, we've moved on. I don't get that. And then you have, Miguel was side-eyeing Leah when her clip was shown and she was talking badly about Rob. So for him to have a conversation with Kendall in the kitchen with Kane, I think, and saying, I grew up with my parents not getting along very well and it was very dysfunctional. So I never want to be in that situation. And this is maybe one of the reasons why I haven't been in a relationship, because I don't like the idea of being caught in this mess. So I understand where he's coming from. And I agree with him that if this is not for him, then he needs to have a conversation with Leah and tell Leah. Leah apparently was being comforted by Janaea and Liv. And it's like, why? I don't get it. I don't get why Janaea is a better friend to Leah and Serena than they are to her. I don't get it. We've all heard Leah talk badly to Janaea and talk badly behind Janaea's face, including her taking the guy that was coupled up with Janaea. So for Janaea to be a ride or die for Leah, in my head, doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And suddenly you have Leah saying she wants to go back to Rob, and it's like, why? Why? This is why it's important for you to keep your mouth shut at times when you're angry, because you end up blurting things that you'll regret. Because how does she think Rob is going to get over that and suddenly want to couple up with her? For Janaea to say, oh, well, if he could forgive Daniela, then he can forgive you because, Daniela did a lot worse. And it's like, Daniela was flirting with Aaron. She never said anything derogatory to Rob or about Rob in the presence of others, whereas Leah did that. So you can't equate the same situations. You have Janaea having a conversation with Kenny. And I guess they were both right to say, if we are comforting Kayla because she's hurt by the situation between Aaron and Daniela, the same should be happening to Rob, and no one is doing that for Rob. I get it, and I appreciate it, and I understand it. So I don't know how they're going to sort of sort that mess out, and how they're going to sort of be able to get to a place whereby they can move on. What do I think? I know I don't hate Janaea, don't get me wrong, but I think she's better than Kenny. I think she deserves better than Kenny. Kenny is an amazing guy, but I don't think he has the maturity that is needed to deal with a woman like Janaea. That's just my opinion. I might be wrong, but that's just how I feel. Because they're two very different stages of life. Yes, he might try to appease her, but that won't last long. You have Kane and Sierra exercising, doing some stretches. That was cute. That was really cute. And I like the fact that maybe it's because Kane is older. Liv hasn't confronted him or hasn't gone wild as she did with Hakeem. And surprise, surprise, I don't know whether the girls are afraid of the UK guys and they just think, let's leave them. Because both Leah and Liv haven't confronted their guys for what they did wrong. They've just watched and just sat back and kept quiet. Even when Liv was upset when she found out that Kane was talking to Sierra, she wasn't as confrontational as she was with Hakeem. And it's like, what's the difference? Make it make sense? I really am not buying the theatrics. I think the producers need to be held accountable, because we can't go from the high and toxicity of last week to suddenly things are very calm and people are resolving everything. What is it? We need to have an explanation. It needs to make sense, because suddenly you have Leah go and have a conversation with Rob. They're now in a good space. She apologizes for all the things she said, and she said she had feelings for him. He had feelings for her. And it's like, when did this start? When did we get here? I don't remember us going from shouting and screaming and yelling to suddenly we're at a space whereby we're apologizing and we're giving each other a hug. I think they are now trying to set up a scenario whereby Rob and Leah can win this whole thing. That's my impression, because it doesn't make sense that they suddenly go from yelling and screaming and shouting to making amends and they're moving on. This doesn't make sense. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. You have Aaron and Kayla pull each other for a chat. That's a lot of theatrics as well. It seems like it's very coordinated, as though the producers are saying, okay, right, let's tie up the storyline, let's tie up the storyline, let's tie up the storyline, let's move on. And it's like, it's too much. It's too much, because I don't know what he can say or do that will make Kayla forgive him. But then Kayla is quick to forgive him anyway. So whatever he says, even if he says, I'm sorry, and he moves on, that's it. She will accept it. And it doesn't make sense. For Rob to tell Daniela that he wants to take a step back, it's too suspect. Is he taking a step back because his feelings are hurt because of the video he saw? Or is he taking a step back because he wants to explore things with Leah? You need to clarify that. You need to make it clear so that we understand. And how is Rob? This is what I don't get. And then people say I hate people. Rob and Leah yelled and screamed at each other and had people dragging them around the villa. And suddenly we're okay, we're making amends, let's move on. This is two-staged. I'm sorry, this is two-staged for the drama and for the airtime, as far as I'm concerned. You have Serena and Cordell sit down for a conversation. That's another thing that's making my head sort of explode, in the sense that we had a screaming and shouting about being disrespected. There was never any sort of conversation in between the two that would make me believe that we've suddenly gone from there to suddenly we want to close things off. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Because for some of us, maybe because some of us hold on to a grudge for a long time, this doesn't make sense. And I don't know how this will play out. I can't wait for Meet the Family to hear what the families think of everything that's happened thus far, to see if the families are happy to move on as much as the people in the villa are happy to move on. I remember when this season started, I said there were some master manipulators in the villa. And it continues. It continues. The saga continues. Because you have Aaron pull Kayla for a chat. They're still upset with one another. And somehow he's able to tell her what she wants to hear. And suddenly she's forgiven him because he's given her a shell. And it's like, why? Why? This is why he continues to disrespect you and continues to behave in manners that are questionable, because when he makes a mistake, you don't want to hold his feet to the fire. Yes, I get if you love someone, you don't want to hurt them, but that doesn't mean that you don't hold them accountable. Just because you like someone doesn't mean even if they are wrong, you don't tell them. You have to tell them, because this is a way of loving them. I'm not saying chastise them, but there is constructive, criticism or constructive feedback. You can do either and still get the love and respect you want from your partner. So I don't get that situation as to how they were suddenly able to make amends and move on quickly. And then you have Miguel. Miguel should write a book, because given what he and Sierra did in Casa, I'm surprised that he was the one who was holding Leah's feet to the fire. Yes, Leah was wrong for the way she behaved about Rob, but I'm happy that apart from telling the guys, he actually sat her down and told her that I'm not on with this messiness, because this is not my jam. I grew up in this and I refuse to continue to be in this if I can make a choice of where I want to be. And Leah was right as well to say, this taught her a lesson. This was a teachable moment for her. I remember saying this was a teachable moment. She can either grow and learn and come up with ways of dealing with her anger, or she can continue to be in the space where she's at, whereby she continues to disrespect people and then feels guilty afterwards. At times when you're upset, it's best to sit in your anger just for a little bit before you respond or before you say anything you will regret, because now she's living with this regret. I don't know. So it seems every couple is made up. Every couple. So the Casa girls were just there on vacation. Now it's time for them to go, because it doesn't make sense. So Ariana Maddox arrives and informs the islanders that there will be a recoupling and 3 girls will be dumped from the villa. And this is why when they came back from Casa, I said it was a good idea that the boys had brought someone, because otherwise they would have started sort of eating each other alive. They would have started dumping each other. And at this point, I think they still all want to be in the villa. It will come to a point whereby the final three will be selected. But hey, it is what it is. So the guys are getting to choose because there are more girls than guys. And first up is Kendall. Is it a surprise that he chose Nicole? No. He says since they've been to the hideaway, things have gotten better between the two of them. They've grown fonder of each other and they've grown a deeper connection. And it's like, yeah, we know. I've been side-eyeing him since his situation with Hannah and Hakim, and now I'm even worse given how he moved around in Casa. So it will take a lot for him to grow on me at this point. Nicole, she's happy. Hey, I wrote for love. Next up is Kenny. I don't think people quite understand me. My beef is not that I hate Janaea. My beef is not that I hate Kenny. I just feel like if it's a long-term relationship, I don't think he's it. I don't think he can match her energy. Yeah, I liked his speech. It was cute. He wanted a more mature woman who will motivate him to be his best self, which Janaea will do. But then who's going to motivate Janaea if she's constantly being the one who's pouring into his cup? Who is going to pour into her cup is my issue with them. Because I think Janaea needs a more experienced man, a more mature person, someone who will stimulate her to continue to be her best self. And so if this is for the time being and it will keep her in the villa, Kenny it is. But if it's long term, I don't think Kenny is it. Next up is Cordell. Cordell is, we all knew I was going to pick Serena because at the end of the day, he shut things off with Dare. I don't know how I feel about them. I think they should have healed before they decided to close things off, before they decided to tell each other we're falling for one another. I think they should have worked on their communication style. I think they should have apologized profusely and sort of learned how to deal with their issues before closing things off, because this is going to be a vicious cycle whereby when someone is offended, they're going to kick off and call the other person everything under the sun, and then they're going to have the other person retreat and then come back with their tail in between their legs and apologize profusely, and then they move on, and so on and so on. So if they're falling for one another, I root for love, as I always say. Hippie! Next up is Kane. Kane obviously had a conversation with Sierra and told her that right from the moment he saw her at the fire pit when she came with Miguel, he developed feelings for her and he really wanted to get to know her. It's sad in the sense that Liv is the reason why he's standing in the villa. He knows that and he acknowledges that it's sad that I have to make this decision because then I'm changing the dynamics in the villa, because Liv was the heart and the soul of the villa. She went to war for anyone who was struggling. So the idea that there is a possibility that she might be going home, I think is what Kane was trying to talk about. So it's going to be sad to see her go, because I don't think she's got a romantic connection with anybody else in the villa. Everybody else is just friendship vibes. I wish Liv had stayed with Hakim. With Hakim, they would have ridden it to the end. I like the fact that she was cordial and she told Sierra that no hard feelings. Even Serena told Dare that no hard feelings, but still, I don't know. I don't think she should be vulnerable. I don't think so. So last to recouple is Rob, and he has to choose between Dare. Obviously, he didn't have any connection with her. Catherine, he didn't have any connection with her. Liv, he sort of he rejected her when she picked him at the start of the season, then liked her just before Casa. I don't know whether that was for convenience sake. And then finally brought back Daniela, and he's been moaning and groaning about Daniela since movie night. So he stands up and he's honest to a fault. He tells them that, yeah, I think Rob, the man he is with Daniela, is totally different to the man he was with Leah, is totally different to the man he was with Andrea. I think Daniela sort of calms him and brings out a more sentimental side and emotional side of him. So that I love. It's sad that Liv had to go home. I know on Twitter, I saw someone write to say, how could he pick Andrea when everybody else is upset because Liv is going home? And the same could apply. Any of the other boys could have picked Liv. Any of the other boys could have picked Liv. He put himself first. So he knew that if he picked Liv, and now that Harrison is coming in, she would have gone for Harrison and he would be the one going home. So he did what was in his best interest. And I have to give credit to everyone anyway, because they handled it more maturely. Catherine was a bit messy, but hey, it is what it is. I like the fact that Dea gave a shout out to Cordell for bringing her back, even though it created a mess. And so it was good to see. What can I say? I think the advice I can best give is Catherine needs to do a lot of soul searching. She needs to ask herself, what does she want from a relationship? There maybe needs to date people more her age. Yes, she is loving, she's caring, she's compassionate. She tried her best. She's the definition of a man. You can give him everything he wants, but if he's going to leave you, he's still going to leave you. And that's what Cordell did. And then Liv. As I said before, Liv needs to work on her balancing her relationships. She needs to learn to stop sort of prioritizing her friends and prioritizing herself. I'm not saying she shouldn't, help her friends or be a ride or die, but she should always remember that her best interests come first, because she coupled up with Kane, but Kane was turned off, I think, because she became more obsessive with Kayla's situation than their connection, and this is why he decided to move on to the next person. Even though he had an initial spark with Sierra right from the jump. The girls was sad. Everyone was sad because Liv was the heart of the villa. So I understand why people are sad, and I understand why people didn't want her to go. But at the end of the day, there wasn't any guy for her. I don't know why they didn't sort of do a U-turn whereby Harrison would have picked one of the three girls going home. That way, Liv might have stood a better chance of staying. That would have made more sense. But hey, the producers didn't think so. What do I think of Harrison coming in? Harrison is good looking. I can't knock him for that. I wasn't sure about the long hair. I'm still not sure about the long hair. I think I preferred his hair last time. He is good looking. You saw a couple of girls sit up when he came, because Ariana came back and said, out of the blue, she just appeared on Soul Ties, and sort of everybody had come to the fire pit, and she revealed that Harrison was coming. You could tell the girls were interested, and from first look, the people that I think are mainly interested are Sierra, Leah, and Janaea. Janaea is interested, but then with Janaea, I have to say to her, be mindful. Harrison can be very sweet as he was with Destiny, but also he can turn on you. So be careful that you don't sort of put yourself in a situation whereby you end up being dumped because that person has dumped you. But at least the other girls, Kayla, I think, is the only one who didn't really show interest. But the other girls, even Nicole, you could tell she was sitting up because he is good looking. So I can't wait to see what the text message is all about. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 22. Bye guys.